When Xiao Yan's eyes, glowing with crimson light, swept down, the square instantly fell into silence. Some disciples of the Yun Lan Sect discreetly swallowed their saliva, feeling a slight unease in their hearts. Now that the enigmatic mastermind had escaped, it's likely that it's time to settle the score with their Yun Lan Sect. Observing Xiao Yan's expression, Hai Bodong and the others were also taken aback. Then, they swiftly moved, appearing by his side, gazing intently below. Seeing the situation in the sky, Yun Yun's delicate face changed slightly. She pressed down with her slender hand, suppressing the commotion in the square. With Yun Shan's death, she had become the leader of the Yun Lan Sect once again. Hence, she couldn't just watch Yun Lan Sect be destroyed by Xiao Yan. What? What do you want to do? Gnashing her silver teeth slightly, Yun Yun's wandering gaze finally settled on Xiao Yan's exceptionally cold face. Her emotions were in turmoil at this moment. Even though her relationship with Yun Shan had grown distant over the years, he was still her teacher, and now that Yun Shan had died by Xiao Yan's hand, according to reason, she should seek revenge. But given Yun Shan's actions over the years, his fate was a result of his own actions. Even Yun couldn't argue against this point. Yun Shan's death at Xiao Yan's hands, from a rational perspective, seemed undeserved. But from an emotional standpoint, as a disciple of Yun Shan, Yun had the responsibility to avenge him. However, with the Yun Lan Sect's current disadvantage, and even if Yun had the strength, asking her to kill Xiao Yan for revenge would still be a difficult task. Therefore, in this state of hesitation, Yun Yun's inner struggle was intense. Hearing Yun Yun's voice, Xiao Yan's face twitched, then he burst into laughter. His laughter filled with bitterness and anger. What do I want to do? First, Yun Lan Sect captured my father, then they destroyed my Xiao family, and now they've captured my teacher, his life hanging in the balance. What more do you want from me? Feeling the sorrow and anger in Xiao Yan's words, Yun clenched her delicate hand, her nails digging into her palm painfully. She understood the intense anger that Xiao Yan was feeling at this moment, and she also couldn't refute the actions of the Yun Lan Sect over the years. The deeds of our teacher in recent years have indeed caused you great harm, but your actions have also contributed to the state of the Yun Lan Sect. Can't you stop now? Her ample bosom heaved slightly. Yun bit her red lips. After a moment, she couldn't hold back her voice any longer, her voice carrying a hint of pleading. Stop? Xiao Yan scoffed, anger flashing in his crimson eyes as he roared. As long as Yun Lan Sect exists in the Jiama Empire, I won't back down. The blood debt owed to my Xiao family can only be washed away with blood. Yun's clear eyes stared intensely at Xiao Yan's somewhat irrational face. A touch of sorrow appeared at the corner of Yun's lips, her voice turning hoarse as she said, Must it come to this point, before you're satisfied? The blood debt Yun Lan Sect has already paid. For it, can't you show some mercy? Ha ha! Hearing Yun's words, Xiao Yan burst into wild laughter. But anger was evident in that laughter. It was palpable to everyone listening. Show mercy? When Yun Lan Sect besieged my Xiao family back then, did they show mercy? If not for the Mitre family's assistance, my family would have been completely wiped out, all thanks to Yun Lan Sect's relentless bloodshed. At that time, did anyone show mercy? A touch of paleness appeared on her pretty face. Yun's delicate body trembled slightly. Every word from Xiao Yan was so cutting, leaving her with no room for retort. Because all these events were incited by Yun Lan Sect, from the very beginning, the Xiao family has been a victim. Regarding the Xiao family's situation, I understand that Yun Lan Sect was wrong in the beginning, but no matter what, I am still the leader of Yun Lan Sect, and if you want to destroy this sect, I will do everything in my power to stop you, even if it costs me my life. Her face filled with bitterness, Yun took a deep breath, and spoke slowly, looking at Yun's face filled with bitterness and conflict. Xiao Yan's fists clenched and trembled. After a moment he roared, Yun, don't think that by doing this, you can make me spare Yun Lan Sect. I've said it before, Xiao family and Yun Lan Sect, only one of them can exist in the Jiama Empire. This is something I won't change for anyone, including you. Gazing at the face full of anger, Yun gave a bitter smile. She had disappointed him back then, and today, she was likely to disappoint him again. If that's the case, then defeat me first. I believe with your current strength, it should be quite easy. She clenched her delicate hand, and a slender, green long sword appeared. Yun raised her charming face and spoke softly. Yun, don't go too far. Seeing Yun raising her sword against him, Xiao Yan's anger flared up, and he shouted with a ferocious expression. I'm sorry. Observing the rage on Xiao Yan's face, Yun bit her red lips, and slowly shook her head. She knew this action would hurt Xiao Yan, but she was the leader of Yun Lan Sect, and the principles instilled in her since childhood made it impossible for her to abandon them. Staring angrily at Yun's delicate body trembling slightly, Xiao Yan clenched his teeth, and after a moment, he abruptly took out a handful of pills from his storage ring, then crazily stuffed them into his mouth. As the pills entered his body, Xiao Yan's weakened aura recovered slightly. However, this almost forced overdraft method couldn't be considered a good solution. Once the effects of the pills faded, his weakness would increase even more. However, At this moment, Xiao Yan paid no heed to that. Xiao Yan, maybe you shouldn't intervene. We are here to handle this. Hai Bodong looked at Xiao Yan's actions, and hurriedly said, aware that Xiao Yan, after so many consecutive setbacks, was becoming somewhat irrational. I'll handle it myself, he said hoarsely, his mouth chewing the pills vigorously, his gaze fixed firmly on Yun Yun below. Sensing the chi slowly surging within Xiao Yan, Yun Yun gave a bitter smile, gripping her sword tightly, bracing herself for the battle she least wanted to happen. Teacher. Nalan Yan rang beside her, looked at the surging chi within Xiao Yan, her figure flashed, and she appeared in front of Yun Yun, whispering, let me handle this. The situation has come to this point, mostly because of my past choices. I didn't want to marry someone I didn't love back then, so you weren't wrong. Yun Yun sighed. But at least I am a member of Yun Lan Sect, and if he wants to destroy Yun Lan Sect, I won't stand by and do nothing, so let me handle this battle. Nalan Yanrang smiled at Yun Yun and then looked up at Xiao Yan in the sky. Her clear voice rang out. Xiao Yan, I'm also sorry for what happened in the past 3 years, and I regret it too. But I am a member of Yun Lan Sect, so if you want to destroy Yun Lan Sect, then defeat me first. She took a deep breath, and a powerful aura suddenly erupted from Nalan Yanrang's body. Yanrang. This is between Xiao Yan and Yun Lan Sect, don't interfere. Just as Nalan Yanrang stepped forward, Nalan Jia in the sky, and Nalan Zhao's faces changed abruptly. They hurriedly shouted. As for the current state of Yun Lan Sect, it was clearly in a precarious situation. With Xiao Yan's current power, it wouldn't be difficult to destroy it. Nalan Yanrang fighting against him would certainly not win, and if something went wrong, it might anger him again, which would also negatively affect Nalan family. Looking up at Nalan Jia and Nalan Xiao, Nalan Yanrang shook her head slowly, determination showing on her beautiful face. My skills were all passed down by my teacher in Yun Lan Sect, and at a time like this, I won't stand idly by. Seeing Nalan Yanrang's determination, Nalan Jia and Nalan Xiao were furious and frustrated, but there was nothing they could do, as her current strength surpassed theirs. Mr. Xiao Yan, please hold off for now. Let me talk to this girl. Nalan Jia interrupted, trying to defuse the situation, seeing the slowly darkening expression on Xiao Yan's face. He quickly spoke. Waving his hand, Xiao Yan cut off Nalan Jia's words, paying him no mind. His gaze was fixed on the determined face of Nalan Yanrang below, and his feet were surrounded by a flickering silver light. In an instant, his wings flapped, and his body turned into a blur of light, darting downward suddenly. The terrifying speed suddenly displayed by Xiao Yan made Nalan Yanrang's face change slightly, and then her jade-like hand moved, and a sharp sword aura shot out from her palm, aiming directly at the blurry figure. Hiss! In the sky, the black figure's body moved strangely, evading the sword aura, and its dark green flame wings suddenly deepened in color. A faint thunderous sound echoed in the sky, then, the black shadow that Xiao Yan transformed into suddenly disappeared. The sudden disappearance of Xiao Yan's figure left Nalan Yanrang startled, then her eyes filled with astonishment. Such speed! How could a Battle King level expert possess it? Just as Nalan Yanrang was momentarily stunned, the space in front of her fluctuated strangely, and a phantom-like black figure suddenly appeared. Her pupils contracted slightly, and Nalan Yanrang's palm moved, sending out a powerful Do Qi attack. Bang! A strand of emerald green flame shot out, colliding with the attack of Do Qi, then exploding with a deep sound. The two attacks quickly dissipated, and just as Nalan Yanrang was about to retreat, a black figure instantly tore through the spatial barrier, firmly gripping her slender jade neck. Her delicate body stiffened. Although we are both at the peak of Battle King, it will only take a few rounds to kill you. A cold voice sounded slowly, then Xiao Yan's figure appeared like a ghost, in front of Nalan Yanrang, his hand gripping her jade neck firmly. With just a bit of force, he could crush her throat. After only a couple of exchanges, he found himself controlled by Xiao Yan, which was shocking to Nalan Yanrang. She was indeed shocked, and now she fully believed that Yun Shan had truly been defeated by Xiao Yan. In the midst of her astonishment, she also felt a bit disheartened. She had originally thought that after passing through the trial of life and death, her greatly increased strength would allow her to surpass Xiao Yan, but reality had given her a cruel answer. Her graceful neck extended elegantly, but under the slightly trembling hand, she didn't dare to move at all. Xiao Yan was not in a calm state right now, and if he vented his anger, this fragrant soul might become a lifeless body on the square again. Xiao Yan, don't harm Yanrang! In the blink of an eye, during the clash, Yun Yun was caught off guard, and when she regained her senses, she saw that Xiao Yan had subdued Nalan Yanrang. Her heart suddenly tensed, and she exclaimed, Mr. Xiao Yan, please spare Yanrang! In the sky, Nalan Jia and Nalan Xiao were also frightened, sweat streaming down their bodies, and they quickly moved, swiftly descending. They urgently begged, as Nalan Yanrang had reached the pinnacle of Battle King strength, which would greatly bolster their Nalan family's power. If she were easily killed by Xiao Yan, they would truly be devastated. Hai Bodong and the others looked at this scene, exchanged glances, but didn't say anything. YunLan Sect was almost completely weakened at this point, with not only Yun Shan dead, but also many elders dead. Even though there was still Yun Yun, a prestigious Do Huang level expert in the sect, it would be difficult for them to regain their former strength. Ignoring the voices of the crowd, Xiao Yan's arm trembled slightly, his palm gripping Nalan Yanrang's jade neck tightly. A hint of struggle flashed in his eyes. He wasn't truly heartless, and no matter what, he had a complex relationship with Yun Yun, and this Nalan Yanrang in front of him was almost a woman who could have been his lifelong companion. However, he didn't have strong feelings for her, but for Yun Yun. Kill! Just as Xiao Yan's eyes flickered, a resounding battle cry echoed from the mountaintop, and countless figures in armor swarmed down like ants, eventually surrounding the entire sect. Suddenly, a military force arrived, causing turmoil among the disciples of YunLan Sect on the square. Feeling the soaring murderous intent, their faces turning somewhat pale. Were these people really intending to annihilate YunLan Sect, without sparing anyone? The overwhelming crowd, like a tide, rushed into YunLan Sect, quickly reaching the vicinity of the square, surrounding all the people on the square. The flow of the military force slowly solidified, parting to reveal a path, and the figure of Princess Tianyi slowly appeared in everyone's sight. The appearance of Tianyi. Her gaze shocked by the already chaotic square, then shifting her gaze upward. Finally fixing it on the black-robed youth, just about to say something, when a figure swiftly descended from the sky, appearing in front of her. Grandfather, YunLan Sect's defenses have been completely dismantled, just give the order. Seeing the newcomer, Tianyi quickly approached, giving a faint smile, but from those red lips came words that were quite bloody and indifferent. Hold on for now, let's see what Xiao Yan intends. Jia Xingtian waved his hand, also turning his gaze towards Xiao Yan in the sky, holding the fate of YunLan Sect in his hands. With just a word from him, YunLan Sect would truly become a river of blood, and all the disciples of YunLan Sect would become lost souls under the blade. Yun Yun, with a gentle nod, halted Nalan Yanrang, who was about to speak. At his words, Tianyi nodded obediently. Despite her royal status, controlling the fate of the entire empire, she was no ordinary woman. She naturally knew who was in control here, and now that YunLan Sect's fate was sealed, the mighty Jiama Empire, which had reigned for so many years, would crumble. But another young tiger had just begun to show its strength. It even possessed more terrifying power and potential than the former. All in all, their royal family had utilized the power of Xiao Yan this time, exterminating the feared YunLan Sect. However, it wouldn't take long before a new YunLan Sect emerged, because with Xiao Yan's power, it was already qualified to do so. In the sky, Xiao Yan glanced at the troops flooding the mountaintop, then turned his gaze to the pale-faced Yun Yun beside him, and slowly released his grip on Nalan Yanrang's neck. Cough! Cough! Freed from Xiao Yan's grasp, a flush spread across Nalan Yanrang's fair cheeks, and she coughed severely a few times. Yun Yun quickly pulled her behind her, saying, Teacher! Yun Yun waved her hand gently, interrupting Nalan Yanrang's words. She lowered her head to glance at the troops filled with killing intent below, then took a deep breath, her voice hoarse. Do you really want to exterminate them all to be satisfied? What about the blood feud of my Xiao family? Who will repay it? Looking at Yun Yun's pale face, an indescribable emotion surged in Xiao Yan's heart. He turned his head slightly and said coldly with determination. A bitter smile crossed Yun Yun's face, and Yun Yun's jade-like hand clenched the long sword. Then, after a moment, she gritted her teeth. Then let me repay it! Her words faded, and her palm moved, the sharp sword in her hand slashing towards her own neck. Teacher! This action by Yun Yun immediately caused a commotion in the square below. Nalan Yanrang, following her, let out a shocked cry. The sword cut through the air. Just as it was about to reach Yun Yun's neck, a hand suddenly appeared, gripping the sword firmly, blood flowing along the blade. Seeing the sword halted, Yun Yun was surprised. Then she noticed the hand cut and bleeding from the blade's edge, and quickly let go of the sword. She wanted to step forward and help, but under Xiao Yan's icy expression, she dared not move, feeling somewhat at a loss. She hadn't expected Xiao Yan to intervene. You die, then let all the people of YunLan Sect accompany you. Dropping the sword, Xiao Yan wiped his hand on his robe with an indifferent expression, his voice cold and indifferent. Xiao Yan, what do you want in the end? If YunLan Sect owes you too much, I will use my life to compensate. As long as you spare the ordinary disciples of YunLan Sect, they were only following orders, they don't know anything. Threatened by Xiao Yan, Yun Yun dared not make any further moves, gritting her teeth in a hoarse voice. Repay it! My foot, will your death bring my Xiao family back to life? Will your death resurrect my father and teacher? You foolish woman! Suddenly, Xiao Yan's eyes widened, and he roared in anger. Yun Yun had clashed with him 3 or 4 times for the sake of YunLan Sect, causing his anger to reach its limits. The entire square fell into silence, with only Xiao Yan's roar echoing in the sky, and everyone knew that the fate of YunLan Sect rested in the hands of this emotionally unstable young man. Looking at Xiao Yan's furious expression, Yun dared not meet his gaze. It had to be said that, in these 3 years apart, the person before her was no longer the slightly naive youth from the past. The present him possessed all the qualities and dominance of a strong individual. I'm not using my life to threaten you into sparing Yun Lan Sect. I know that perhaps I don't have that authority now, but as the leader of Yun Lan Sect, if Yun Lan Sect is truly annihilated, then I have no face to live in this world. I will have to sacrifice myself to honor the ancestors. Her gaze avoided his for a moment, and Yun let out a bitter smile, speaking slowly. Xiao Yan clenched his fists, his eyes flickering uncertainly, and his inner conflict was evident to anyone. In the sky, Hai Bodong and the others watched this scene, wisely refraining from intervening, as they had long known about the complex relationship between Xiao Yan and Yun, and the current conversation seemed to be quite intriguing. There seemed to be some hidden aspects to it. Nearby, Medusa stood suspended in the air, her gaze calmly fixed on the entangled figures below, and as she listened to the conversation, laden with the weight of their past, her eyebrows furrowed involuntarily, a sense of irritation stirring within her heart, and this restlessness prompted her to reach out and grab the eagerly watching little Xian beside her, giving her head a playful tousle, causing the latter to pout in mild protest. Xiao Yan, everything started with me back then. As long as you spare YunLan Sect and the teacher, Nalan Yanrang, even if I have to become your servant or slave, I'm willing. Seeing Xiao Yan's changing expression, Nalan Yanrang at the side suddenly gritted her teeth and spoke out. Hearing Nalan Yanrang's words, Nalan Jie and Nalan Xiao exchanged a brief glance, then fell silent without speaking. Given Xiao Yan's current strength and influence, he could easily become another YunLan Sect in the future. If Yanrang can establish some connection with him again, the benefits for their Nalan family go without saying. Even if it means being a servant or slave, it doesn't matter. And regarding Nalan Yanrang's beauty, they are quite confident. Although she had some conflicts with Xiao Yan in the past, after spending time together, things naturally change. If I'm interested, our relationship would have been like this 3 years ago. Xiao Yan glanced at Nalan Yanrang, his voice cold. You're willing to exchange so many lives of YunLan Sect for this? On what grounds? Nalan Yanrang bit her red lips tightly. Although she was unwilling in her heart, she didn't dare to act recklessly in front of this young man who had control over the life and death of YunLan Sect. She didn't dare to be impudent, because their positions now were no longer the same as 3 years ago. Don't play tricks on us, just say what you want directly. At this point, YunLan Sect no longer has the slightest ability to resist. Yun let out a tired sigh, her eyes no longer avoiding contact, looking directly at Xiao Yan, her voice hoarse. His eyebrows slightly furrowed, Xiao Yan fixed his gaze on Yun, but under her intense gaze, this time Yun didn't avoid it. Her eyes filled with exhaustion and helplessness. His eyes twitched slightly, Xiao Yan's face darkened, and his gaze slowly scanned the massive square below. After a while, he suddenly gritted his teeth, and his cold voice echoed through the sky. Within a month, disband YunLan Sect, otherwise, no one will be spared. The sky fell silent. Only Xiao Yan's cold voice resonated slowly. At this moment, countless YunLan Sect disciples let out a sigh of relief, followed by a touch of sorrow, remembering how mighty YunLan Sect used to be, and yet now, it had fallen to the point of being at the mercy of others. Such a disparity, truly hard to accept. Of course, regardless of how difficult it was to accept, these YunLan Sect disciples had no means to resist. Seeing Xiao Yan's murderous appearance, they were well aware that he had the intention of slaughtering YunLan Sect. If it weren't for Yun's relationship with him, the square would likely be a river of blood by now. Therefore, to the disciples, being able to save their lives was already extremely fortunate. Hearing Xiao Yan's cold words that sounded like a final judgment, Yun's delicate body trembled slightly, her teeth biting down on her red lips, her cheeks displaying an unusual paleness. This YunLan Sect. Was it really going to be destroyed by her own hands? Clutching her hand, Yun's bright eyes slowly scanned the faces of countless YunLan Sect disciples below, a touch of sadness appearing on her cheeks as she murmured, "Is this your revenge against YunLan Sect?" Seeing Yun's sorrowful expression, Nalan Yanrang also felt a pang of heartache. Tightly holding onto her jade hand, suddenly raising her head to face Xiao Yan, she said, "Xiao Yan, as for the current YunLan Sect, it no longer poses a threat to you. Can't you show some mercy? My teacher and I can publicly swear, in the future, no one from YunLan Sect will mention this grudge." Xiao Yan glanced at her, his expression devoid of emotion. "Considering our past relationship, this is my final concession. Either wipe out or disband YunLan Sect. Choose one of the two, the choice is yours." Upon hearing Xiao Yan's words, Nalan Yanrang's eyes dimmed. She knew that Xiao Yan definitely wouldn't allow YunLan Sect to continue in the Jiama Empire. Being able to spare these ordinary disciples was already his greatest concession. As Xiao Yan's words fell, countless gazes turned towards Yun. The decision ultimately rested with her. Everything depended on her choice. Under the weight of these gazes, Yun clenched her jade hand, her eyes revealing a struggle. After a long while, she finally sighed in resignation, her slightly hoarse voice filled with weariness and helplessness. "Fine, it's come to this point. saying more is futile. Since you're determined to do this, then I'll abide by your decision. As long as the ordinary disciples of Yun Lan Sect aren't harmed, I will disband Yun Lan Sect within a month. In just a few sentences, she sounded as if she had used up all her strength, and as the last sentence fell, Yun Yun's bright eyes also grew dim and lifeless, her expression filled with resignation, evoking a sense of pity, determined not to look at Yun Yun's expression. Xiao Yan's voice grew low. I hope you can fulfill your promise. If there are any who are unwilling within the sect, I will take action. As his words fell, Xiao Yan's gaze shifted, looking down at Princess Tianyi, the leader of the countless troops below, and said calmly, Princess Tianyi, please withdraw your troops, but just to be cautious, they could temporarily camp at the base of the mountain. Upon hearing Xiao Yan's voice, Princess Tianyi quickly smiled and nodded, then turned around and issued a series of organized commands, and under her commands, the densely packed army immediately began to retreat like a receding tide, until they finally disappeared over the mountaintop. For today's events, I thank you all. With the army retreating, Xiao Yan's gaze once again turned towards Jia Xingtian and the others. A somewhat forced smile appeared on his impassive face. In response, Wen Yan, Jia Xingtian, Fa Ma, and others quickly waved their hands and smiled politely. Today's success in annihilating Yun Lan Sect was largely attributed to Xiao Yan and his mysterious teacher. They had merely assisted in holding off Yun Lan Sect's elders. And now that Yun Lan Sect had been eradicated, the future of Jiama Empire's situation might change significantly. Given Xiao Yan's current influence, it was undoubtedly likely that he would become a dominant figure in Jiama Empire, and their actions might be influenced by his preferences. Thank you all for your rewards, and once Xiao Yan's injuries have healed, we will deliver them to you as promised. Xiao Yan's gaze shifted to YunLan and the three people beside him, and he smiled faintly. No need to rush. The most important thing now is for Master Xiao to recover from his injuries. YunLan and the three quickly smiled apologetically, their attitude exceptionally courteous. After the recent intense battle, they had gained a better understanding of Xiao Yan's strength. While in the past they might have been cautious around Xiao Yan due to Medusa, now they genuinely respected and feared him. After all, Xiao Yan's current power had the capability to defeat even battle ancestor-level experts, which warranted their utmost caution, regardless of their location, as strength was paramount. They nodded slightly, and Xiao Yan's figure suddenly trembled. Jade-green fire wing behind him also abruptly turned ethereal. The fierce fighting aura emanating from him instantly dissipated like receding tide, and his complexion turned even paler. Evidently, as the medicinal effects in his body faded, the borrowed power began to wane. Are you okay? Seeing Xiao Yan tremble, Hai Bodong moved beside him, reached out to support him, and asked with concern. Waving his hands, the fine beads of cold sweat from Xiao Yan's forehead dissipated together with the fighting aura. The injuries within him began to surge, causing him to shudder from intense pain. Your injuries are not light, and you've overexerted yourself. You should return and rest immediately, otherwise leaving behind potential complications could seriously hinder your future advancement. Looking at Xiao Yan's pale face, Hai Bodong frowned. Xiao Yan nodded slightly, took a deep breath, and waved his hand to the people in the sky, saying, Today's events end here. Let's go. As he finished speaking, he glanced at Yun, his voice cold and indifferent. After a month, I don't want to hear the name Yun Lan Sect again. Otherwise. Yun forced a bitter smile, took a deep breath, and said lightly, Everything will go as you wish. After a deep look at Yun, Xiao Yan suddenly asked, After Yun Lan Sect is disbanded, will you still sacrifice yourself to honor your founder? Slightly taken aback, Yun's gaze shifted towards the Yun Lan Sect disciples below him. Realizing what Xiao Yan meant, she bit her lip and said, As long as you spare the lives of Yun Lan Sect disciples, I'll comply with your wishes. That's good. Although Yun Lan Sect will cease to exist, locating them won't be difficult. Xiao Yan chuckled lightly, and then suddenly, his gaze immediately turned to the ground, to the cold body of Yun Shan, and a glint of coldness flashed in his eyes. He clenched his hand, drawing the body into his grasp, and then he stowed it into his spatial ring. Although Medicine Elder had been captured by the Soul Hall, Xiao Yan still decided to gather the materials for refining a body, as his teacher had instructed. He believed that in the future, he would rescue his teacher, and present his teacher with a perfect body. Watching Xiao Yan's actions, Yun's expression changed slightly. She wanted to say something, but under Xiao Yan's piercing gaze she had to swallow her words. With the lives of many Yun Lan Sect members in his hands now, she didn't dare to provoke his anger. Having silenced Yun, Xiao Yan let out a soft snort, then turned his head to Hai Bodong and whispered, Let's go. Hai Bodong nodded, casting a glance at Yun, and with Xiao Yan in his grip, he spread his ice wings and took flight toward the imperial capital. Jia Xingtian, Fa Ma, Medusa, and the others closely followed suit. As the massive formation in the sky swiftly departed, the stifling atmosphere that had gripped the Yun Lan Sect members gradually eased. The crowd exchanged glances and sighed softly. their faces showing a hint of bitter smiles, and their eyes brimming with sorrow. Yanrang, once things are settled here, it's time to return home. You haven't seen your mother in 3 years. She must be missing you dearly. Nalan Jia and Nalan Xiao watched the departing group, then turned to Nalan Yanrang and advised. Nalan Yanrang's eyebrows furrowed momentarily. After a brief hesitation and a glance at Yun, Nalan Yanrang nodded in agreement. Nalan Jia and Nalan Xiao finally heaved a sigh of relief. Glancing at Yun, they sighed softly and decided it was best to leave. With Yun Lan Sect's diminished influence, the so-called walls fall and everyone pushes it. Although Yun is a battle emperor expert, they couldn't afford to appear too familiar with Yun, especially since XiaoYan's displeasure could have dire consequences. Afraid that the Nalan family would disappear from Jiama Empire the next day, after bidding Yun a polite farewell, Nalan Jia and Nalan Xiao swiftly departed for the imperial capital. Leaving the desolate scene of Yunlan Mountain behind, the desolate autumn wind blew through the sky, leaving behind 2 slender figures, who exchanged a bitter glance. Teacher, what do you plan to do? Looking at the Yun Lan Sect disciples below, Nalan Yanrang sighed. What else can we do? Do you not understand Xiao Yan at all? He spared Yun Lan Sect from complete annihilation, due to our past relationship, but dissolving the sect was his bottom line, if any more troubles arise. During this time, it might be, Yun gave a bitter smile and shook her head. She didn't hold any grudges against Xiao Yan, given the fate that befell Yun Lan Sect due to their actions against the Xiao family. She understood the outcome. With a melancholic sigh, Yun waved her hand, instructing that the Yun Lan Sect disciples should leave within a month, and that each of them should receive a sum of money upon departure. Given their strength, they had the capability to survive. Nalan Yanrang silently nodded, feeling a sense of desolation. The sun's rays pierced through the clouds, casting a faint glow on Yun in the sky. She gazed in the direction where Xiao Yan and the others had departed, a mysterious emotion welling up within her. Back in the day, that naive young man, as what she had expected, had now truly become a capable individual. However, little did she expect that she would be the first to truly experience his prowess.